It feels relevant to anybody that's into, I don't want to say extreme sports, but I guess any sports that don't involve a ball, that like those lessons are paid for in blood and
Yeah.
you need to learn.
Yeah, you heed the warnings and what is the analogous lesson within skydiving? Slow down, pay attention, don't push a bad position. If your gut is telling you no, do something else. Take a different path. Um, be ready to retreat, if you don't like the way things are feeling. Because I believe we're guided. And I don't mean that in a woo-woo sense that much. Okay, maybe a little, but I mean, to be honest, you know me. But the feeling, right? So where does that feeling of no, which it might not be a screaming no, but like that feeling of I don't feel motivated. I don't feel the huge cosmic yes at the moment. It might be time for me to let up on the gas pedal a little bit and pop my head up and see, you know. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down, to figure out what it is. And it could just be internal. Sometimes the guidance is just your own doubt, and it's based on old programs that aren't valid, old belief structures of inadequacy and that kind of thing. But often, especially when you really quiet your mind and you get rid of all those beliefs in that moment and you just say, well, what am I feeling here? You know, what sort of information am I getting from my higher self? That's telling me to put on the brakes. Because if you don't listen and you always say, what the hell, just do it. Don't be a chicken. Yeah, that's a short life. That's a, that's proving yourself wrong as your last act. And none of us want to do that. So we always have to be ready to just say, no, weather's not right, or conditions are right, or gear isn't right, or I'm not right. Yeah.
That's so, I'm still learning how to do that. I still got a nervous system that can't always tell the difference between being chased by a bear and, you know, talking to someone.
Right. It muddles.
It,
Yeah, it seems like
it's
it only
hard.
works when you soothe it to a lower arousal level. For me, that's my story. I can't tell when like it's screaming in my head. It,
Yeah.
I mean, I know the answer is back off regardless, but it could be still that I'm nervous because I'm going to give a big talk in front of a bunch of people and everybody gets nervous before that kind of thing. Doesn't mean I'm going to screw it up. You might not bomb, especially if you can slow down, calm down, and get your game face on. Right? I saw you do it. I mean, you gave a talk in front of all those people, a lot of people, and you did awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest risk perceived risk that most people interface with is talking in front of a big group.
Yeah. It's, I would say that is, I hesitate a lot more with that than I do jumping out of an airplane. So that should say something.
It should. Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily say that you suck at it. It just says that you believe that you can't, you know? And then you dig a little deeper and go, is that true? Is that really true that I suck at that? Because probably not. And of course, my performance is always a variable based on my attitude and my emotions. And so the outcome will be a self-fulfilling prophecy either way. Yeah.
That's very true.
You are what
Um,
you think. And more importantly, I think it's you are what you feel. That's what you're emanating as a message to the universe that you want more of that, including terror, self-terrorizing. And we find ourselves, in that in that trap that we set for ourselves. But skydiving is kind of straightforward that way, isn't it? You just go, well, either it's too windy or it isn't, either my rig was packed by somebody I trust or not. These are very tangible things that you can isolate, and clarify the the actual risks, and you can look at the consequences very clearly, right? Very, very
Very
clear.
much.
I love that.
I love that too. That's trying to explain to somebody why that is my most peaceful meditative time because I literally cannot be anywhere else mentally.
Yep.
And it's like if they get it, they get it.
Hmm.
Sometimes I'd like more people to get it,
Yeah.
but
Maybe they'll get it in some other way. The
for
same
sure.
sort of, maybe it's not skydiving, but but I do find that things that have a very tangible physical risk are a little easier to discern, right? Because the crowd, when you're giving a public talk or something, isn't really going to throw rotten apples at you. You know, they're not going to hate you for fumbling over some words because you're nervous. Um, they'll forgive you because they know that it's scary to stand up there. And you start sorting through that stuff and go, well, what is the worst case scenario here? And once you've clarified that one, I think it's also valuable to say, well, how likely is that, right? And then that likelihood has to be reanalyzed again in terms of your leverage over that probability, right? Because I mean, if somebody that doesn't know how to skydive jumps out of an airplane, oh yeah, they're probably in big trouble. But somebody that's good at it, it's not a high probability of failure. It's actually, more likely than not, you're going to land exactly where you wanted into the wind with a beautiful flare and a smile on your face. And if you're getting into something that it's over your head in terms of your skill set, that feeling could be a warning that you're in trouble. Yeah. It's an ongoing process, to clarify in a multi-stage process. For me, that seems to be true, that it's not just one. If I just go with like yes or no binary with all my decisions in high risk situations, I'm not a complex model, that allows me to adapt and figure things out and reacquire a new attitude in the midst of that fear, an attitude that could uplift me into a state of empowerment that I go, yeah, wait a minute, I know what I'm doing. That's right. I kind of forgot for a moment, when I was breathing poorly, when I was freaking out a little bit, because I'm jumping a new parachute into a new place with new people, new planes, although you add those things up and go, oh, yeah, okay. They seem like it's a big deal, and I'm adding up the variables in my mind and creating a mountain of worry. However, is it really that different? You know, you just got to keep questioning, I think. Questioning the validity of the fear and the leverage that you have over it. Yeah, most of the things that people worry about seem like they're not very here and now. And their analysis of the probabilities didn't even show up. It's just, holy cow, that would be horrible. And you didn't even take the time to say, well, yeah, but how likely is it? Because if it's not that likely, why are you worrying about it? You blew it out of proportion. Certainly as a parent, I noticed that one a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, is it really likely that they're going to run into big problems? Or if I trust them a little bit more within reason, if I allow their freedom to explore their world and make a couple of small mistakes, they will learn the lessons that I need them to learn so I don't have to worry so much. Because they cultivate their own guidance system. They learn how to listen within and have that feeling of, oh, I don't think I should cross that street. Even though my ball rolled across the street, I'm going to stop. And it's not because mommy said so. It's because something felt different. Something felt like I shouldn't. And then as a parent, you see that happening. I've seen that a bunch of times with my kids, hundreds of times, where I go, right on. I taught you the guidance, that comes from you so that when I'm not there, I trust you. I say that to them 100 times a day. I trust you. I trust your wisdom. You're not stupid. You're just young. They're just us with less information about planet Earth. Um, but they're going to certainly have that guidance that comes from all the different directions coming into them too.